That's what's happening in cotton. Let's bring in our guest analyst, and that's going to be Mr. Oliver Slope. He's with Blue Line Futures up in Chicago. Oliver, I've saved 120 seconds for you. The other 2 minutes. Hopefully you can fill it. How about, what say you?
Well, I appreciate that, and I also appreciate you having me on in the afternoon because it's a completely different story this afternoon than it was this morning,
Sure
where
is.
it was a lot of pessimism with the overnight trade and early morning trade being on the weaker side of things. We saw corn and soybeans take out yesterday's lows, and it just kind of looked like there wasn't going to be any hope. However, we have turned around mid-morning and are taking out yesterday's highs. And to me, looking at the chart, that is really constructive ahead of tomorrow's trade. Now, for corn, the big level to get out above is 407. If we can see a closeout above there today, I really think that opens the door for a potential retest to the breakdown point from Monday, which came in 415 to 416. We know that the flash sales have started to pick up in corn, which is certainly good for that underlying strength. We saw a big purchase yesterday from Mexico and more today. And so long as beans can kind of stabilize and find their footing, I think that's been weighing on corn here this week. If beans can find their footing, I think that gives corn a nice tailwind here into the weekend.
Would you classify that recent 45-cent rally in corn and a buck rally in beans as a gift?
Corn, I think, is ultimately going to be a very choppy trade. I think we probably trade $4 on the support side. I think I mentioned that to you last week. And then on the top side, I really wouldn't be holding my breath for more than 420. Beans, I'm obviously a little bit more skeptical of. $10 in the November contract. That could potentially be a magnet in the next week's option expiration. Past that, if Brazil gets good weather, there could potentially be more downside risk in soybeans.
Yeah, and there's some more chatter about maybe the funds coming back in. I mean, I don't know about this time of year, but maybe coming back in and letting some shorts fly again. We'll have to wait and see. But it'll be interesting. But it does feel like everything's kind of slowed down here going into November the 5th. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen the open interest pick up on the slide lower in the grain market. So it looks like the funds are kind of reestablishing some short positions there with the election looming. We've seen a little bit of a trend reversal there where it was a 50-50 coin flip, trending a little bit more favorably towards Trump, where you're talking about tariffs again.
Yep, you got it. You're reading my mind there, brother. Stay right there. We need to go away. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to come back and talk more with Oliver Slope. He's with Blue Line Futures in Chicago. And so this one really doesn't know what it wants to do. Let's bring in our next guest, our guest analyst who's been waiting for us, Oliver Slope. He's with Blue Line Futures in Chicago. Oliver, I don't know, doesn't look like there's a lot going on, but maybe you see something I don't.
Yeah, not a whole lot going on. We've been kind of in the camp that the upside is probably going to be a little bit limited here in the cattle complex, particularly in live cattle. But today we've gotten some rumors that 188 was being passed on down in Texas. And so that kind of lends hand to the idea that we might see cash firm up yet again this week, which could get us a little closer towards that 190 level in the December contract. But ultimately, I think that's going to be a really tough barrier to get out above. We do know that the economic data, despite my concerns, has been strong recently. That's reinvigorated some fund participation. Last week's commitment to traders report showed them net long about 78,000 futures and options contracts, which is the largest net long position since back in July. So that fund participation has certainly helped fuel the rally. If that starts to dwindle out ahead of the election, potentially there's risk of long liquidation. But again, I think it's going to take an outside market catalyst to really break the market lower.
I don't know. We might get it. I mean, I think I share your concerns. I mean, we did get some eco data today. We had retail sales. We got some Philly Fed numbers. And, at the end of the day, you've got Warren Buffett moving to the sidelines, raising a lot of cash. That's nothing you can take lightly. And I don't know if you know who David Einhorn is, but he's also he's a big shot. And he's in that camp, too, that you can't hold these valuations where they're at when it comes to the equities. If we see that start to tail off, we can see some cash move around, and that might affect our markets for sure. I kind of feel what you're feeling there, too. Thank you very much, Oliver. I know you're busy. Oliver Slope, Blue Line Futures.